afternoon. It's We're going to get back and get started again. I want to look at actually the fourth church that is in Revelation, and we're going to be taking a look at Revelation chapter 2, verses 18 through 29. And once again, I want you to remember that these messages to the churches are actually addressed to the pastors of the church. In this particular case, I think it's kind of exciting because we get to look at some other things and that the Lord's going to do and the Lord is doing and so forth, and what he's going to continue to do. And so as we look at this, let's be listening carefully and looking. And of course, I'm going to put all of the scriptures and everything in the information box so that you'll have it. You can go back and look at it. If you like the video, please make sure you hit the little bell there, and it'll let you know whenever we're about to record again and so forth. That way you can follow along as we go live. So anyway, let's get started. Let's go to Revelation chapter 2, and let's look at verses 18 through 29. It says, "To the angel of the church in Thyatira write, the Son of God, the one whose eyes are like fiery flame, and whose feet are like the fine bronze, says, I know your works, your love, your faithfulness, service, and endurance. Your last works are greater than the first. But I have this against you. You tolerate the woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess and teaches and deceives my slaves to commit sexual immorality and to eat meat sacrificed to idols. I gave her time to repent, but she does not want to repent of her sexual immorality. Look, I will throw her into a sick bed, and those who commit adultery with her into great tribulation, unless they repent of their practices. I will kill her children with the plague. Then all of the churches will know that I am the one who examines minds and hearts, and I will give to each of you according to your works. I say to the rest of you in Tyre, who do not hold to teaching those who haven't known the deep things of Satan, as they say, I do not put any other burden on you, but hold on to what you have until I come. The victor and the one who keeps my works to the end, I will give him authority over the nations, and he will shepherd them with an iron scepter, and he will shatter them like pottery. Just as I have received this from my Father, I will also give him the morning star. Everyone who has an ear should listen to what the Spirit says to the churches." Amazing passage. I love this stuff. It actually shows us what's to come and what he's going to do. And you know what? The truth is we need all the encouragement we can get right now, because you know what? This is really the direction, if you will, that the world is going. And we've got to take a look at that. We've got to realize that this is what is taking place and where we're headed. And we can look around and we can kind of see that. But let's get into this a little bit. If you look at verse 18, it says to the angel, it says, "The Son of God, the one whose eyes are like a fiery flame and whose feet are like bronze, says, I know your works, your love." Okay, now in this, he describes his eyes as a fiery flame, and then we look at that and go, what does that mean? Well, he actually answers that in verse 23. Let's go to verse 23. It says, "I will kill her children with the plague. Then all the churches will know that I am the one who examines minds and hearts, and I will give to each of you according to your works." So he can see our minds, he can see what's in our heart, and he knows what our works are. He can see it. Okay, and so that actual fiery flame is actually judgment. It's actually being discerning and being able to judge on what's going on and what we're doing. And so interesting stuff. But he talks about a plague that he's going to throw Jezebel in the plague, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But he sees the minds and hearts, and he gives each one according to their works. If you look at Daniel chapter 10, let's go to Daniel chapter 10 and take a look at this, because this, once again, is in my mind, this is kind of exciting as we look at this. Daniel chapter 10, I want to look at verses 1 through 6. It said, in the year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, who is named Belshazzar. The message was true and was about a great conflict. He understood the message and had understanding of the vision. In those days, Daniel, was mourning over 3 full weeks. I didn't eat any rich food, nor meat or wine enter my mouth, and I didn't put any oil on my body until the 3 weeks were over. On the 24th day of the first month, as I was standing on the bank of the river Tigris, I looked up, and there was a man dressed in linen with a belt of gold from Uphaz and around his waist, and his body was like topaz. His face was like brilliance of lightning. His eyes were like flaming torches. His arms and his feet were like the gleam of polished bronze, and the sound of his words were like sound of a multitude. Once again, here we see the fiery eyes, the fire in his eyes, and we also see the bronze feet. And he's talking about bronze feet as if they've gone through fire, they were polished, or they were shiny, like they've been fired in a fire. And so that's talking about going through the fire of the tribulation, and he's with us. That's the whole point. He's meeting with Daniel, he's with us, and he's fighting with us. So that's an important piece of the puzzle. And what Jesus had against them was, if you look at this passage back in Revelation chapter 2, he says, but I have this against you. Now, I want you to see this. It says, I know your works, your love, faithfulness, service, and endurance. Your last works are greater than the first, but I have this against you. You tolerate the woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, and teaches and deceives my slaves to commit sexual immorality and to eat meat sacrificed to idols. Okay, so he sees what they do. He sees the good in them. He sees what they do, but he has this one thing against them, and they tolerate the woman Jezebel. She calls herself a prophetess, but what she does in actuality is she teaches and deceives his slaves. That would be us, to commit sexual immorality. And note that Jezebel is not physically alive at this time when he received. We're talking about in Revelation, where he received this revelation, where John received this revelation. She's not alive. So we deduce from this that she is Jezebel is not physically there, but is a spiritual entity that they call the spirit of Jezebel. And if you look at 1 Kings, let's go to 1 Kings. If you look at 1 Kings, we'll actually see this back here as we look. I'm sorry. 1 Kings, let me get to that. 1 Kings, okay, chapter 16, verse 31. Let's look at that. Chapter 16, verse 31, and it says, let's see here, right? Verse 3. There you go. Then as following the sin of Jeroboam, son of Nabat, were a trivial matter, he married Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of Sidonians, and they proceeded to serve Baal and worship him. So she actually led Israel, if you will, into Baal worship and also sexual immorality. And this was the same thing. It's the same thread that runs through this whole thing. And so when we find out a little bit more about how she operates, we find out that there's this spirit that leads people, the spirit of Jezebel that claims to be a prophet and leads people into sexual immorality, leads them into Baal worship, leads them into worshiping false gods. What an amazing thing to look at. And these are things that John's not only looking at in his day, but he's looking into the future, because all these churches are about all of us today. These 7 churches of Revelation actually represents the church age to the end until he returns. And so we need to look at that and understand that with this. Now let's go to verses 24 through 27 in Revelation chapter 2. 24 through 27. It says, I say to the rest of you in Thyatira who do not hold this teaching, who haven't known the deep things of Satan, as they say, I do not put any other burden on you, but hold on to what you have until I come. The victor, and the one who keeps my works to the end, I will give him authority over the nations, and he will shepherd them with an iron scepter, and he will shatter them like pottery. Just as I have received this from my Father, I will also give him the morning star. Anyone who has an ear should listen to what the Spirit says to the churches. Okay, so to those that do not follow Jezebel or haven't followed Jezebel, this is what he says. I'm not going to put any other burden on you. In fact, you're going to be judging. You're going to not only judging, but you're going to be overseeing. You're going to be shepherding the rest of the nations. Okay, I believe that he's probably talking about the millennial reign during that time. Okay, so the millennial reign. So, and we can look at actually Luke. Let's look at Luke right here. Let's look at Luke chapter 22 and verse 29. Luke 22, 29. Okay, let me get this. It says, I bestow on you a kingdom, just as my Father bestowed one on me, so that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and you will sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. We'll be judging them. We'll be there. We'll be ruling over them. We'll be shepherding them. Okay, let's go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians and take a look at a passage there in chapter 6. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Let me get there. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 3. Do you not know that we will judge angels, not to speak of things pertaining to this life? Okay, so once again, there, even in 1 Corinthians, it's talking about what he's going to do with us, that we'll be judges. We'll be judging even angels. That's what he says. And so it's really, really awesome as we look at this, because there's not only things that we have to correct, there's not only things that we have to repent of, but you know what? There's things that he wants us to hold on to as well. He just wants us to repent of the things that we need to repent of. And that's key to what he's saying. And once again, anyone who has an ear should listen to what the Spirit is saying. What an amazing fact. Now, the morning star that he talks about here in, let's go back to Revelation chapter 2. The morning star that he's talking about, that I want to see it, and it's actually in verse 28. I will also give him the morning star. the morning star, it would be Jesus. Okay. And you know what? That morning star is the first star, the first light in the sky that you would see just as dawn is breaking, just as the darkness is going away and dawn is breaking. That's that first star. What an amazing, amazing picture of this new day that he's bringing about. I hope that you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, you can always get a hold of me and leave something on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and I will get back to you, I promise. So anyway, you have a great, great day, and blessings to you.